welcome back to another episode of Build with a Plan. Coach David here. So glad you could join us today. One of the things that I don't talk too much about, I like to touch on today, it's about the mindset. How you can shift your mindset from being just either an employee or a startup or someone that's been working in the business long enough but needs to shift their thinking a bit so that they can actually be a bit more effective in what they do. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And as you know, Build with a Plan episode, this podcast is made specifically for you entrepreneurs out there who are looking to grow their business. We're going to give some good strategies, good foundational things to know so that you can make sure that you are actually growing your business the right way. And that is obviously with a plan, because that is what we call this podcast. All right, so there's 10 mindset shifts I'm going to talk about today. And the first one we're talking about is going from scarcity to abundance. What that means exactly is stop worrying about competitors or your lack or people stealing your clients or there not being enough clients out there. And you need to focus on building value and partnerships. That's where there's more than enough market out there, specifically if you are looking at how you can stand yourself apart from your competition. And that is mostly by building value. Obviously delivering, but if you can consistently build value in your business, then abundance will just happen. So not worry about what the competition is doing so much as in they're stealing our clients or our customers, and think about what can I do? What business or value can I bring to my customers? There's definitely more than enough market share out there for you. So that's number one. And number two, I want to talk about going from perfection to progress. Now, this is more importantly for the people out there that are just starting out. If you're a startup, perfection is not going to happen. Rarely will it ever happen, no matter where you are in your business cycle. So what I want you to think about is going from perfection to progress. When you try and have everything perfect, that slows your momentum. You actually start getting that paralysis by analysis scenario where all you're thinking about is, oh, this has got to be right. Let's keep putting it off. Let's put it off until we're not quite there. We're not quite there. Think about this. There's this saying out there that is shoot first and then aim. As in, take your shot, see how far you're away from the target, focus and target and shoot again, right? So let's talk about, maybe doing something and testing it, then adapting it. A lot of times that if you can get to the market faster, even though you may not have it perfected, there might be some flaws in your product or service, as long as you are bringing enough value again there, then perfection is not going to help you. In fact, it will slow you down. So don't worry about it. Strive for perfection, but look for progress and make sure you get that offering out there sooner than later. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is the mindset from going from employee to entrepreneur. There's lots of areas in the business world that you got to think about this. And it's such a juggle specifically for, the solopreneur in the beginning. Because in fact, you are wearing that employee hat quite a bit, but you need to take it off and think about it as being an entrepreneur, as a business owner. How do we grow this business beyond just the day-to-day? When you're thinking employee, you're thinking about what needs to be done, what job roles, what tasks need to do day to day to get the product and service out there. I'm not saying forget about that. I'm saying you need to take a step back and put your entrepreneur hat on, look at the bigger picture, start looking at revenues, start looking at your costs, your systems, your scalability. What do you need to be watching to make sure that you are actually growing the business in an entrepreneurial way, as opposed to let's just get the job done? And that happens a lot, and don't worry about it. That is a tough mind shift to happen, specifically in the early days when you are doing all those tasks. You are performing the task. You're delivering the product. You're the sales team. You are the HR team. You are the bookkeeper. You are even the office cleaner. You're all those people. But you need to be able to shift sometimes into the entrepreneurial space so you can make sure that you're actually growing the business in the right direction. All right, so now I want to talk about from fixed to growth. Okay? And what we're talking about here is, view mistakes as lessons and not failures. You are going to make mistakes, 100%. There is not an entrepreneur out there that hasn't made a mistake. In fact, most of us have made many mistakes, but we're looking at how can we grow from that. So don't get down on yourself and look at it as failures and that, you're not cut out for this. What you want to do is look at the problems as being opportunities. An opportunity to either innovate, opportunity to change the way you're doing something. Maybe the product or service that you're offering right away isn't where it needs to be. And if it's falling short, then take a step back, like in number 3 there as an entrepreneur. What can I do differently? How can I change this so it will actually be more effective? Now, the innovate part of the business, that's one of my favorite parts to work with business owners, is because this is where you're allowed to be creative. This is where you can, cast aside everything that everybody else is doing and go, what can I do differently? How can I tweak my product or service a little bit so that you can be different? And a lot of the times that innovation will be one of the ways that separates you from your competition. All right, so we're going to talk about number 5. And now this is when it's, we're talking about transaction versus relationship. So what does that mean? Obviously we need to transactions. We need to close sales so that we can bring in revenue, so we can pay the bills and pay yourself and pay, the electricity and all that fun stuff. That's the transactional part of it. But I want you to look beyond that. We want to look at relationship. We want to build long-term loyalty. And we do that by giving the best service, being authentic and delivering what we say that we are going to deliver, and follow through. And communication is huge. If there's a hiccup in delivering your product or service, you need to tell your customer right away. Let them understand what's going on, because the worst thing you can do is think transaction, cha-ching, 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 and then soon enough, if you haven't built the relationships there, then those clients are not going to come back, because they don't feel like they're getting the value or the attention that they should be getting from you. And especially if they are higher value clients, you need to make sure you're building that relationship with them. All right, so we talked a little bit about employee to entrepreneur. So number 6 is similar. We're talking about working in the business and working on the business. I'm sure you've heard this many, many times from lots of different people. So what does that mean exactly? Well, we've talked about it. I've touched on it, right? So, but don't get stuck in only doing the daily operations. Like I've been there, in the past, I spent days, sometimes weeks, just being in operational mode, get the product done, talk to the client, do the sales, do the ordering, do the cleaning, wash the toilet, all that type of stuff. And when you get stuck there, you forget that you own the business, and that's when you start losing your way, right? So what you want to do is look at stepping back. You want to be able to strategize, and if possible, if you have staff, you want to start looking at delegating And this is one of the important ones, systematizing your process, whether it's a sales process, delivery process, or even accounting process. There should be a smooth systematization of your business so that you can step back, plug somebody else in there because you've already built that system. You already know what works, and you can just train them on the system that you have in place. That allows you to delegate and step back, take a bigger look at your business, and continue to grow it. So go from working in your business to working on your business. So it's one of those mind shifts that it's sometimes a daily struggle. So one of the things I suggest for that is look at putting into your calendar a reminder, once a day or twice a day, however many times you want to do that. Put it in there, a set time, 11:30 or 1:30 or whatever, and have it pop up as in step back, work on your business. And that's a mental reminder or an actual automatic reminder to have you look at working on your business instead of in your business. Take that step back. All right, so number 7, we're going to talk about going from looking at things as an expense to looking at things as an investment. A lot of times people think, oh, it's expensive to do marketing and training. Oh, do I really need to, spend money on technology? They just think about, the money going out. But what they're not factoring in is what is that growth multiplier for the money you're putting out? And in fact, this is something that you really should be looking at anyways on an ongoing basis. And what I mean by that is, are you buying stuff for the sake of buying toys? Or are you buying technology and marketing and training that's actually going to help grow your business? And this again goes back to working on your business and working or thinking as an entrepreneur, as opposed to, oh, I need this, I need that, let's buy this, let's buy that, let's buy that. And at the end of the day, yes, most of the things that you buy are going to help you grow the business, but it needs to be thought out first, right? Is buying this technology or putting money into this marketing or putting money into this training, is that going to help me grow the business faster? That's a huge thing you need to think about. So that's what I want you to look at moving forward when it comes to when you're putting money out. Is it actually an investment, or are you buying it just because? Okay, number 8. We're going to go from control to trust. Now, this is again a huge thing. I struggled with this early on in my business when I started hiring people, and they were, I kept looking at what they're doing. I said to myself, I could do it much faster than them, but I had to trust in them. When you micromanage staff, this is specifically about staff, it stuns the growth. Not only does it, doesn't help your staff grow and learn how to do the tasks themselves, it takes you away from other parts of your business. The entrepreneurial part that you're supposed to be looking at, working on your business, not in your business. So when you start growing, when you start hiring people, you need to build the systems. We talked about this, right? Systematization, build systems, and make sure that you hire smart, right? You want to take a while to actually hire somebody. You don't want to hire the first person that walks in. You want to make sure it's a smart hire, and then you want to be able to start trusting your team so that it continues to grow. Next thing I want to talk about is from competition to collaboration. Now, this is one thing that I've always believed in. I wanted to just share with it today, right? We're talking about don't look at even competition as being strictly competitors, because sometimes your competition do things that you don't do. So perhaps you could look at creating a partnership, or maybe you could outsource some of what they do way better than you so that you can focus on doing other stuff. So partnerships can open doors faster than going solo. And when you want to look at who can you work with out there? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a competitor, but is there a supplier that you could work with? Instead of looking at, keeping everything close to the vest, is there some business out there that you can work with that can help your business grow? And then the last one, number 10. Now this is huge. I talk about this all the time. I'm talking about going from short-term thinking to long-term thinking. Quick wins feel good. You get a little bit of money in. You think, oh, that's really good. But sustainability is the real goal, right? Ask yourself, will this decision that you're making serve us in 5 years from now? Right? You want to look at where you're going in 5 to 10 years. What is that plan? Reverse engineer and make sure that every decision that you make, this goes back to, whether you're buying technology and and the training, is that part of the 5-year goal, or is that just an immediate, I feel good about it type scenario? So go from short-term to long-term thinking. Think about 5 years from now. Will this serve us 5 years from now? So hopefully this helps you a little bit high-level thinking about your mind shift thinking. So again, Build with a Plan. Coach David here. Please like and share. If you've taken any value from this, please share and comment. If you have any questions, please reach out in the comments below. I would love to answer them on the next podcast. All right, until next time, Coach David out.